Hey, Wellspring, thanks for watching this 2-minute countdown at this point and staying with us because we have kind of a State of the Union type of an address.
I should have worn a tie.
But we have about like 5.5 or so things that we want to share with you that last week we were talking and we were like, oh, we should share this and then we should share this. And it was like, man, like, we should just do something super special because this is all super encouraging, all super cool. And so I think you were saying like you can bring like fly drop things in and like make this video look cooler than just us sitting here.
Sure, yeah.
So the Carlton will be coming here, dropping in just real soon, and because he's cool. And so anyways, the first one, on that note about how irrelevant I am in life, is we wanted to tell you guys about the direction of Well Youth. As you guys know, I've been hanging out with them on Wednesday nights with some key leaders. We were just talking about Harry Styles, and they brought him up, and I asked if he was in Twilight, and if it was Team Edward or whatever that is.
Right.
And that went over like a fart in a spacesuit, and so it really became increasingly clear that I need to step aside, and others need to step in, and so we have some key leaders that you and I met with. So there are Jessica and Maddie, two of our key leaders, are going to be working with a team that includes Brendan and Sal. So a group of 4 incredible leaders that are going to be relaunching Well Youth. And we're super excited at that. So this is going to go beyond the 8 weeks of starting point. And I think they're going to be taking over sometime in April-ish.
Yeah, at the end of starting point.
Yeah. And so there'll be a season of growing the core that we have right now. There'll be a season of probably just some fun things to try to encourage people that just need to get reconnected. And so we'll use that over the summer, and we'll probably do like a bigger relaunch sometime in September, like really from, just with people that we've been kind of gathering since.
What I loved when we sat down with them was just seeing their passion for youth. I know this has been... They came to us. And this has been a prayer for both you and I as an elder team, and to see their passion and for them to really talk about building a very relational group and how to have these kids dive into their faith and grow and be able to walk through life's journeys as a student, and to be with them and to hear how youth ministry has impacted them individually. And so I loved seeing that, and I'm really excited to see how God uses both Maddie and Jessica and the team they have to really pour into these students' lives. And so I'm pumped about it, and I can't wait to see what comes. Yeah.
And both of us just had conversations this past Sunday with parents, or even, I think maybe even directly with some teenagers. And so there's a need. We see it. We've always seen it. And so, again, I agree. Super excited to see what God's going to do through that. And so Wednesday nights, you can just put it on your calendar now. Instead of pencil, you can use pen because it's going to continue on beyond just a starting point series. So and be praying for them, because we're going to be meeting in I think 2 weeks to kind of plan out really kind of the rest of the year. They have some homework to do, and so you can be praying for the leadership team of the youth as they revamp it.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, so the next thing that we wanted to throw at you guys, which I'm going to take you on a little bit of a roller coaster journey because it's been a journey. Really, a year ago, almost to the date, we started raising up corporately, publicly, money for the Well. God bless that. And that money was going to bring you on, and was going to bring, the Well and buy and some other things. And the whole purpose of it was to buy a business that eventually would start creating some revenue to help us launch expansion sites, to launch a campus, launch other churches, to do more beyond our 4 walls. And so we had scheduled to launch the Well end of March of 2020. And so super cool, super awesome. But even saying that jokingly, you and I were in the room together with the elders and with the staff. It was sought out in prayer. It was a unanimous decision between staff and elders. We still firmly believe that God was in it, and in it through the year. And so the end result is that we had actually a pretty decent year. I think last I saw, like we had sales of like $74,000 for 3/4 of a year. Wasn't terrible, but the extra revenue that we had really just kind of got eaten up during COVID. And so going into this year, we just knew we needed to take 2 months off during the winter months because they're drier months, and then just reevaluate what is this going to take to really launch it next level, because right now it is draining some funds, and the funds that it's draining isn't like it's like we need to push forward, and we're eating up those funds. So Dan Millay and others, Dan Millay from How You Brewin', got a team together, looks it all over. That team gives us, the elders, a report.
I mean, just to speak well on the team for a little bit, it was a team that met for several weeks. They really looked at every aspect of the business, the finances, to the curb appeal, to really, I mean, did a really amazing job and produced a comprehensive report on the well. And they, as an elder team, we looked that over and
And if you know Dan Millay, thorough is the only possibility as an outcome there. Anyway, so we get that report, and we look over some of the options that they recommended, and we decided the best step forward was to try to sell. And so I put out some feelers, talked to some people, whatnot. Nothing really kind of gained momentum with really anybody. And so with about 5 days left in our lease, the elder team said, hey, let's just kind of throw a snowball out there and see if we can put out an ad and see if we get any buyers. And we're like, we know it's probably not going to work, but we did it.
But God.
And my phone, my work phone, which goes to my personal phone, it started blowing up nonstop, in my email, all of it. All that to say is by the end of the weekend, we had a buyer, and that buyer was in contact with Gary, who has been super insanely gracious with us as a church and as a business throughout this whole thing. And we had a buyer, and so it is officially sold, and with some paperwork ongoing and whatnot. But we're meeting again with them. They've already paid a deposit. Contracts are being signed and whatnot. So we have a buyer. Meeting with them this coming Saturday, and so that is great news for us, because what is super encouraging is the next phase of this is the intended goal of this. Like the well was always intended to help push us forward and not take us back. So Graham and Daniel, you said, labored over the numbers for what remember, if you guys remember, the Endless Growth Fund is what we used to help launch all this, and that was going to help us buy the well and some of the startup funds to a campus, and or to the well, and then eventually bleed into the campus. And so we delineated that out, did the well COVID to help, so people could give to help us with the well, and then the second fund was campus and church planting, an expansion type fund, and so the well COVID fund is effectively closed, and now in the church planting fund, now keep in mind the goal was that probably within 3 years we might have an engine that's kind of starting to bring us some revenue.
Now, within 3 years, we wanted the well to be able to produce around $10,000 a year. And we kind of went into it knowing we're not going to see that for right away. And a couple of years down the road, then we would start seeing a revenue of about $10,000 a year to put back into church planting. And
you did it. What's the number?
So currently sitting in our church planting fund is around $30,000, which I can't tell you how amazing that is, but God. I mean, truly, but God. What would have taken 3 years down the road for that fund to be able to produce sits right now, $30,000 for us to think about and pray through planting a new church or a new expansion site or something like that. And man, if you are watching right now in the chat, praise God for that, because that is simply amazing and that's not something you did. It's not something I did. Not something the elder did.
I didn't give $30,000.
That is truly God's grace.
Completely God's grace. Like shutting down a business and now looking at a fund with, if you want to go to the penny, right around 28,000. So we're pastors, we're rounding up because that benefits us, obviously. And but like seriously, just under $30,000 that now we can start doing something now.
Yeah.
Like when we thought about last year, the vision of planting a campus, like campus is bigger.
Yeah.
Campus is going to be kind of like Wellspring 2.0 in another community. But Wellspring 2.0, like we started with a lot of people, and we started with $300,000 to launch this whole thing. And so like the amount of money that we would have needed to even start something in brick would have been astronomical.
Right.
And so now we have something that we can start doing something.
Yeah.
So Graham, we are starting to do something.
Right. Yeah. So we have been on a kind of soul searching journey, to say it minimally, and really asking God, we know that as a church, you laid on our heart that we wanted to be a church that plants new churches, and whatever form that looks like. And so Jason brought it up that we kind of launched 2020 with this idea of launching a campus in brick. And through this year and through COVID and through transition, that just doesn't seem like the right move at this time for a lot of different reasons. The amount of funds it needs of having a room full of 500-600 people is not something right now that even feels like is doable. No. So what do? We still have this calling. We still want to launch new churches and new expansion sites, and so
reach more people.
And so one of the things that we've been praying through as an elder team is something called micro churches. That's kind of like a branding name around something. But here's what this is. It's us as Wellspring Church looking at communities around us and saying, how can we plant kind of a congregation, an expansion site of Wellspring Church in another community that's going to have the same purpose, the same vision, the same values, the same mission of this church. But when we bring in another pastor, they can contextualize that mission, vision, and values to their community to reach those people. And so that's what we're planning to do right now. And really exciting about it. Right now, we're praying through Bayville. And is Bayville that next step for us? And we're looking in that community.
And the reason why is because we have a lot of critical mass already coming from Bayville.
Right.
That we can open up seats here and also allow people to be reaching directly into their community.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that was the other thing, the tension with brick. You know, we were looking at brick, but we had a very, very small portion of our church that actually came from that direction. But Bayville is in our backyard, and we have a huge pool of people that come from that. So right now we're thinking and praying through Bayville, and we're thinking about what does it look like to plant a micro church in Bayville on a smaller scale. And what that smaller scale means, instead of having a campus that's looking at like 200 to 500 people, we're looking at a micro church that's going to serve about 50 to 80 people.
And grow from that.
And grow from there, which is starting at a smaller scale, which means smaller funds, which means smaller space needed. And it also means that we can get started way sooner and not have to wait until things change, because I feel like God wants us to move now, because there are people in our community that desperately need the gospel, and we're not going to wait around for normal to come back to us, because these people need hope and the gospel right now.
Yeah, and we think the gospel speaks into the situation now and not waiting.
Right.
And so this is stripped back expectations, but maintaining the same level of excellence.
Yeah.
We're not looking to do anything sloppy. We're not saying less people is worth less effort.
Yep.
And so we're putting the same level of scrutiny on, if somebody, like Graham was going to be the campus pastor there, we put him through an assessment. We scrutinized him. Like we went like, are you for this?
Right.
Can you handle this?
Yep.
And a new congregation under the umbrella of Wellspring will provide a lot of like the core things. We'll handle the online. We'll handle the Instagrams and the things of that nature. We'll handle the finances. Bayville or wherever, you just preach the gospel and reach people and help them grow in their relationship with Jesus. Like we'll take care of the fluffy stuff. You do you there. And but same level of scrutinizing the person that will lead it.
Yeah, so that's that next step. So now we're in the process of, when we started this conversation, okay, who's going to do this? Who are we going to get to launch this kind of first new micro church? So we put an ad out on kind of like, I don't know, whatever
church
staffing ad place you can. And God brought us a candidate. And the unique and kind of special thing is you and this candidate kind of have a past.
And
he
texted me.
It was like, hey, I saw this thing. Is this you? And it was like, yeah, this is us. And that began a journey with us kind of doing a couple Zoom interviews. And we are taking this individual on an assessment next week, which is truly, I mean, when you think about the sequence of events, God has been with us and in this every step of the way. And so if you're watching right now and any of this excites you, your action step is to be praying. Next week, this individual is going to go through a rigorous assessment where they're going to be men and women pouring into this guy's life saying, is this for you? Are you the guy to help Wellspring launch this new micro church, or is church planting in general right for you? So one, be praying for Wellspring that we make the right decision, but also be praying for this individual because this is going to be a huge change in their life. Right now, they're serving in a church, so this is going to be a huge change for them. And so we want to make sure that as a church, we're also coming alongside this individual to say like, hey, is this good for you? And that this was mutual. So again, be praying next week as Jason and I kind of go with his individual, be with them on the assessment and walk through, and then potentially make a decision after that week.
And I'll take it. This is a personal friend of mine. He was in a youth ministry that I was a youth director for back in college. So he's only actually a few years younger than me. And his name is Dave. So you can be praying specifically for Dave. And to echo what Graham just said, pray for the journey. Pray for our journey and his journey. If you guys remember back, I think at the beginning of February or end of December, I had mentioned that we were talking to somebody else about some future things in a residency. And that concluded because we were part of his journey to say, hey, I need to stay where I'm at and finish well here. And we never took that as a negative. We took that as a positive that God used us in his journey. So we're going into next week completely open. God, move us both. And if you're moving us both together, great. And if you're moving us apart, God, we are just asking for you to move and direct. So loosely, that brings us into Easter. Brings us into Easter because, well, I'll explain Friday.
Okay.
Then you'll tackle the rest of the week. Okay, let's do that. So Friday, the worship team comes, knocks on the door. Not really, because we don't have a door. They come to us and they were groveling. They were begging. It was just downright come on, just say it. No, they weren't groveling or begging. No, they were just super excited about a thought that they had, and that is a night of worship. And to come before our people and say like, hey, this is the tough season. Let's have a night of worship. And so I was like, great. And so we were looking at it and we're like, well, what about Good Friday? We don't typically do something on Good Friday. The resources kind of get poured into the Easter experience on Sunday. So we're like, you know what? Night of worship, this is needed, yada, 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 all the conversation. So we're going to do that. So Good Friday, Friday. 6:30. Do you remember the date?
I believe it's April 2nd.
April 2nd, something like that. But it's on a Friday. So 6:30 here, and there will be childcare pre-K to 5th. And it's just that. It's just childcare. There's not going to be a curriculum. It's going to be, just
childcare.
And so we'll have that. It'll be about an hour and a half. And there'll be probably a 20-minute, more of a devotional type thought on the whole aspect of Good Friday. It will go from kind of reflective to celebratory as we anticipate that Good Friday is only celebratory because of Sunday. And so we're not going to leave here trying to worship a dead God. We're going to leave here trying to worship a risen King. And so that's Good Friday of Easter weekend. And then Saturday.
Yes. So Saturday, as we've been talking about Micro Church Bayville, we are going to do a pop-up experience in Bayville. So 6:30 Saturday night, I believe it's April 3rd, we rented the Bayville Firehouse. We are going to have live preaching, worship, and do a true pop-up experience in Bayville. So if you are in the Bayville area, we would love for you to check it out. if you have friends and family ones in your life that desperately need the hope of Jesus, invite them and say, listen, there's a pop-up experience in Bayville and I want you to be there. And we are just really anticipating God to do a move. And this is a great test for us to see, like, hey, is Bayville the place? Is this where God wants us to make that next step? So be coming and I just can't wait for that.
Yeah, invite. You'll see, if you're in the Bayville area, you'll probably see a postcard. We've ordered, Graham made fun of me, but back in my youth group days, I was the door hanger king.
Right.
So we got a whole bunch of door hangers. One day I'll be putting out there, hey, could I get a team of people to literally walk around Bayville and just do door hangers, inviting people to the Easter experience. And so, invite, and help us see if this is something that is viable for us.
Yep.
So.
And then that coming Sunday, we'll have 2 worship experiences here, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. and 11, Easter experiences right here in Toms River. So again, some of the thinking is we're going to have the night of worship on Friday, the pop-up on Saturday, 2 experiences here, and just really, again, spend a whole weekend celebrating the Easter season, that we have a risen King, and we just can't wait to see what God's going to do.
Yeah. So youth is continuing. The well is transitioning, but thank God has opened up the door for some money for us to pursue a new kind of expansion type work. We have somebody going through an assessment next week that you and I get the privilege of sitting in as assessors, and Easter is going to be rocking. And so, we were super excited to come before you all in a video and just let you guys know that God is still up to something, and we get to be a part of it. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for telling other people about what is going on and inviting them to these cool spaces. So.